Hey everyone, it's Dominic from the Primetime Treasure eBay store and YouTube channel. I want to welcome in the new subscribers, the old subscribers. I want to welcome everyone from the reselling community and anyone else who just happened to stumble on this video. This video is going to be helpful for anyone who is new at reselling, and also I think if you're experienced at reselling, you may also find some tips in here that can help you out as well, even though you may know many of them or some of them. But stick around, because most of the time when people do these types of lists that I'm going to go over with you, it's a top 10 list, but I didn't want to short you with a top 10 list. I'm going to come at you with a top 20 list. This is the top 20 things that I think you need to know to be prepared so you can crush it at estate sales and garage sales or rummage sales this year. You know, it is just about going to get warm soon. Activity is already picking up in some areas in terms of people starting to clear things out, even though it's not quite yet springtime. But it's going to start happening soon. More and more garage sales are going to be posted all over the place. There's going to be more estate sales. Rummage sales are going to be opening up. So you want to be prepared, and there's things that you should do to do it right and maximize the chances that you could be profitable at these sales. Some of the things I'm going to talk to you about are things you should do before the sale. Some of the things I'm going to talk to you are things that you should do during the sale. And some of the things I'm going to talk to you about are things that you should do after the sale. If you have other things to add, feel free to drop a comment down below, but let me get started. Now, these are in no particular order really, but one I'm going to start out with, which is, you know, one of the earliest steps that you should do, is make sure that you plan a route accordingly for the different types of sales that you want to go to. Don't make the mistake of just saying, I'm just going to randomly go out and just drive around all over the place and try to find sales. Or don't make the mistake of saying, well, there's a bunch of good different sales and I've jotted down a few of them and I'm just going to kind of go randomly to this one, to that one, to this one, to that one. Plan a route. Make sure that it makes sense for you. Now, you could find out all the different cities and locations of where you're going to possibly go based on Craigslist and based on the classified section and based on you know, any other places that you're going to find out your garage sale and estate sale sourcing. There's estatesales.org. There's Garage Sale Finder, which is an app that you could get to your phone. Now what that really does is that just pulls information from Craigslist and it puts it up on your phone with little arrows that show you all the different areas in your city where there are sales. And so you might see that they cluster in one particular area, and then you have a few scattered ones here, here, and here. So it would make more sense, unless there's something really awesome about the sale up here, to go to the area where all the sales are clustered together. So that will give you a nice visual, so you could download that to your phone. But put your information about the different sales that you want to go to somewhere in your phone. Now what I do is I open sort of like a notepad app, and during the week, you know, starting Sunday, Monday, and then every day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I check every day a few key terms, which would be estate sales. I check that term, garage sales, and rummage sales. I check that every day. And when I see something that looks good, I enter it into this notepad. And I put in there several things. I put in the date, of course, that it gets started. Then I put the times, because you want to make sure you have your times right. And if it's multiple days, let's say it's 3/18 and 3/19, put 3/18, 3/19, and they'll say 10 to 4 and then 10 to 5 if the 2 days have different times. Then you want to put the city that it's in, you want to put the street that it's in, and then you also want to say what it is. Is it an estate sale? Is it a rummage sale? And then make a few notes to yourself, such as this is the one that has this particular item that you're looking for, or this is a sale run by this particular vendor who you know is really good. So put little notes to yourself that kind of remind you of what's at a particular sale that you might want to go to. And then once you have everything all scheduled for the week, look at the times, look at the places that look like are the best fits, look at the cities, and try to cluster the areas where you're going to so you maximize your efficiency. In other words, if you live here and there's a sale here and a sale here and a sale here, don't go to the sale here, drive back to the sale here, and then go over back to the sale here. You'll wind up wasting a lot of gas money, and it doesn't really make sense. So really try to kill two birds with one stone, or three birds with one stone, by clustering on the sales in a certain area. So that's the first thing that you need to do. And take a look on your phone sometimes. Sometimes the address will be listed as in a particular city, and then you type in the address ahead of time and you find out, whoa, they actually wrote that wrong. It's not really quite in that city where you thought it was. So that's always a good idea to type the address into Google Maps or something like that on your phone. And look at how far exactly it's going to be. So plan that route out. Very, very important to maximize your time and be efficient. Okay, now the second tip is make sure that if you can, especially on Craigslist, or depending on your classified section online in your newspaper, if they allow for pictures, to check the visuals of what's going to be at the sales. That could give you a good sense of whether or not it's something you want to go to or not. And based on the experience that you're going to have built up, you'll have a pretty good sense of when you walk into a house or when you walk into a garage, if this is going to be something that's a good fit for your business or not. It's not always perfect, but it gives you a good sense. So look at that and use that as a guide to plan where exactly it is that you might want to go. You could spot and zoom in on your phone on some really cool key items that you might jot down as a note and say, I want to get to this particular sale early because there's some really cool items there that look like they're a fit for my business. Then you might see another one that says estate sale, and it doesn't give much specifics, but it has some pictures, and it just looks like the rooms look bare. It doesn't look like anything's filled. The furniture that's there and the items that are in the house just look like there's not much there in terms of resale value. It might just be kind of old but not valuable in any way, just kind of really out of fashion. Or you might even see some of them have little price stickers on them, and you could zoom in on the price and you could get a sense of what this person is charging for the items. Generally, if it's a sale where there's price stickers on every single item, those tend to be worse sales than ones where it's just kind of free for all and you could kind of name your own price and kind of negotiate at the end. If someone's taken the time to price out almost all the items, it tends to be a pricier place to go. So but you could zoom in on some of the prices, and sometimes you'll actually see, oh wait, that actually looks reasonable, so you want to go there. Other times you might say, wait, that's crazy, these prices are just not going to be a good fit for me, and so you might want to skip that particular sale. So check the visuals. Number 3, make sure you eventually build up a knowledge and an understanding of the different cities and suburbs of where it is that you're going out and sourcing, so that you start to develop a knowledge of which areas have items that are more within your niche area or within your area that you find that you could do good with in terms of reselling. So, for example, by me, there's a few areas that I love to go to where there are, every time I see that these few particular cities pop up and there's a sale there, it's automatic that I'm going to go to it because I've had so much success at those cities, and I just know that the type of people who live there, they love to collect, they love to hold on to stuff. They're older communities, so there tend to be older vintage items there, whereas if I see that there's a sale in a more ritzier, kind of fancy schmancy area, I'm unlikely to want to go to that one, at least first, because my experience is that the items are overpriced and they're not things that have a good resale market. So, and there's not a lot of vintage things in those areas. They're more modern. So you'll get a feel of that in terms of, especially if you're starting out new, but use that as a guide in terms of where you want to go first and where you want to make your priorities. Number 4, which is kind of related in a way to number 3 in terms of having familiarity with your area. Get to know the different companies that run the estate sales. Every city is going to have different companies that are running these estate sales, and some of them tend to stay more in certain cities than others. Some tend to be scattered around, but some of them have a reputation for being very overpriced. For example, there's one particular estate sale company near me, which I basically see it and I just cross it off the list. I'm not going there because I know everything is ridiculously overpriced and you just can't go there. Like they'll have like an item from Home Goods with a sticker on the bottom of it from Home Goods that said it was $9.99 and they're trying to sell it for $24.99. So there's places like that that are ridiculous. Yet there's other places, other companies that reliably run these incredible estate sales where they're basically just liquidating and blowing everything out and practically giving the stuff away. So those are the places. There's a few places, a few estate sale dealers that I know around here that I automatically, I don't, pretty much, if I just see they're running a sale, I'm there because I know they just make such good offers and such good deals for people who go there. Now, related to that is make sure you establish good relationships with the people who run the estate sales. Get to know them on a first name basis. Hand out your business card to them. Make sure you're making small talk with them, because if you could build up a good relationship with them, they will give you better deals. For example, one of the estate sale companies that I like to go to around here when they run sales, she knows what I do. She knows that I resell on eBay, and she actually has said in the checkout line to the people who check me out, make sure you give him a great deal. He's buying this stuff for resell on eBay. So it could really be beneficial for you to just build up that networking, establish a good relationship. You know, make small talk. You know, it could really help you out in terms of getting better deals on the items that you're trying to get. Next thing is a few things about preparation. Make sure that the day before, so this is step number 6, that you have your cash in hand and you've got your gas, okay? You don't want to go out, get ready to go to sale, realize the day of that you don't have the money that you need and that you don't have the gas that you need to get to the particular place. So you want to have all that stuff ready, because it could literally just be a matter of seconds or minutes that cost you that great item that someone just beat you to, and it's because you weren't prepared. So make sure you get prepared, have plenty of 20s and stuff on you, plenty of 10s, small change, dollar bills, all that type of stuff, so that you're prepared to make that deal when you get to the sale. All right, number 7, in terms of preparation, make sure that you bring bags. It could be little shopping bags like this, you know, little just plastic bags. You can carry them around in your pocket, like right here. Just, you know, keep them with you. And also, particularly for estate sales, carry some boxes around in your car with you. You know, you could take a big box like this. I like to take one about this size, or you can take a smaller one, because trust me, especially when you're at the estate sale, you're in the basement, you're finding all sorts of awesome things. It quickly could become too much that you can't carry it all around with you. And so you have this box, you carry it around. I mean, I'm walking around these sales all the time with boxes filled up. Okay, or, you know, bags. Just take the bags with you, start filling the bags up, okay? It really, really helps you maneuver and put things around. This is kind of a side tip. It's not really a separate one, but make sure if you find an item that you like, that you put your hand on it and don't take your hand off, because once you take your hand off, it's free reign. Someone else can get it and then you lost it. So keep your hand on it if you want to make sure you maintain possession of that item. Other things in terms of another step would be come prepared. This is step number 8. Come prepared with drinks and snacks. You want to stay energized. You want to stay fueled up. So make sure you have that stuff with you. And if you're going to stop off and get something to eat, make sure that you save the receipt. So if you go through McDonald's or, you know, wherever, Panera Bread, make sure you save your receipt, because that is later something that you could use to deduct from your taxes. Food and drink while sourcing, while conducting business as a part of business, is a tax deductible expense. So you can definitely do that. So make sure you keep that in mind. Number 9, again, these are kind of random, but this is related to estate sales. If you've never been to an estate sale before, the way many of them work, but not all of them, is that there will be a sign-up sheet posted on the door the day before the sale or the morning of the sale. If it's the morning of, it's typically an hour before. If it's the day before, it's typically later on in the afternoon. So what you do is you go up and you either sign your name on the sheet or you take a number, okay? And then you come back the next day and you are called in according to that number that you either took or that's on the sheet. Now, I would only advise you doing this if there is a sale that you know is just going to be incredible based on the pictures or based on what you've heard about it or based on what you know about it in some way. I would advise against driving very far the day before to go up on a sign-up sheet for something that you're not sure about, because what happens is many times, particularly if the house is not big or if a lot of people show up to it, it might not even matter about using the sign-up sheet. They might just say, you know what, we're just going to let everyone in all at once. There's not too many people here. Or it's a big house. Yeah, there's a fair number of people here, but we could fit everyone, so just open the door and everyone just kind of goes in anyway and they don't listen to the numbers. And then you just wasted about an hour of driving the day before, maybe a half hour to get to the place and a half hour to get back. It's not worth it for that. So if it's something that's closer to your house, it's not too far to drive, definitely could be worth it, but just make sure it makes sense to do the sign-up sheet. If not, just sign up, get in whenever, just get there the morning of, sign your name on the sheet, just go up there and then, just go in the regular order. With rare exception, you should still be able to get in with about 20 minutes. One exception to that I had was I was waited an hour in line to get onto the sale, and I wish I would have been able to sign up ahead of time, but I just couldn't based on my schedule, so sometimes that's just how it goes. But for the most part, you still should be able to get in a reasonable amount of time. So that's another thing, is taking into consideration sign-up sheets. Okay, number 10. So this will make us halfway through when we're done with this one. Wake up early. Okay, a lot of these sales start 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock. If you don't wake up until 11 o'clock and think you're going to go out to start going out to sales at that point, now you still might get stuff at sales that you go to that don't end until 4, but there's a good chance that you missed out on a lot of really awesome stuff early on. Don't be afraid to go to a sale a little bit early. Now, pay attention. Some ads, in fact, many ads on Craigslist are going to say no early birds. That means they don't want anyone showing up early, and they're not going to sell to you early. But still, if it doesn't say that, or even if it does say that, it doesn't hurt to get there 5-10 minutes early, because trust me, your competition is going to be driving around and trying to get items and pick them from people early, and you're going to be the one who loses out. So if it's a place that particularly has things advertised that you really think that you like, get there a little bit early and see if you could get the items. But at the same time, be respectful to other people. So that's number 10, halfway done. Okay, now number 11. As I talked about waking up late, there is nothing wrong with going to sales at the end, okay? I'm not saying to not wake up early, but what I am saying is sometimes people just, they're negative in terms of their thinking, and they just think, well, you know what, the sale's been going on all weekend, there's not going to be anything there. The last day of the sale is Sunday, for example, at 4 o'clock, and I haven't gone there yet, but I'm not going to go because there's nothing there. I sometimes find the best stuff or awesome stuff at estate sales or garage sales that's at the very end that other people just don't realize the value of. Let me give you an example that's actually right here. This is something I am actually packing up right now after this video to go out tonight. I got this at the end of an estate sale because that just happened to be when I could get there. And this is sitting there all day for $4. No one picked it up. This is a ceramic bust statue of W.C. Fields. Now, I didn't realize it was W.C. Fields at first, but I knew it looked really cool. It kind of reminded me of like an Irishman, Boston figure. Kind of had a John Wayne look to him, but I knew he wasn't John Wayne. But I took him home, bought him for $4, did some research, and sold him tonight for $47.50. So almost $50 for a $4 purchase. Not bad, and he's very light. Okay, but I found them at the end of an estate sale. So Don't be scared of the end of sales. The other thing about the end of sales is that that's when the items that don't sell get liquidated, and you can make great deals in terms of negotiating at the end. Remember, the advantage of getting there at the beginning of sales is that you're going to get the item that is more valuable, but you're going to pay up for it. The advantage of going at the end is you're going to get some items that are potentially less valuable, or usually less valuable, but you're going to get better deals on them, so you might be able to even flip them for more money. Again, it's just another example of a great deal that I made at the end of an estate sale that I had my eyes on from the very beginning. I've told this story before, but it's a large rack of Harley Davidson clothes. And I only wanted like 10 of the shirts on there, but I went up to the guy to negotiate. They were priced $10 per shirt all day. That's why they sat there, because no one wanted to buy them. So I went up to him, asked the guy who was running the estate sale if we can make a deal. He looked at this massive amount of clothes that was there. I mean, just like racks of Harley Davidson clothes. And he just said, take it all for $70. So I took it all for $70, and I've just done an amazing job in terms of reselling that and just making so much money on that. In fact, I've almost actually wiped almost all of it out. I still have a few of the items left on the Primetime Treasure eBay store, but it's a perfect example of making a great deal at the very end of a sale. So don't be scared to go at the end of the sales. Okay, another tip for you, and this is tip number 12, is when you go to these sales, especially if you're going at the end, search in what I call the lazy areas, the places where other people are not looking. Good example, if you are looking at a bookshelf, okay, get down on the ground. Get down on the floor and go over into the corners. Move things out of the way that other people were too lazy to pull apart. If there's boxes, I can't tell you how many times I go to estate sales and there's boxes like this that are filled with items, and people just walk by and they just kind of look real quick at the top and then they just go by it. Take your time and look through it. Look through, do the extra work. If you're willing to do the extra work, the hard work, that's going to be where the profit is. If you go back to the last video that I just did, about the 3 estate sales, the good, the bad, and the ugly. The last house that I went to, that was a perfect example. I even showed video of that house. I really had to work to get those items, and I had to dig, but that's where all the value was, and everybody walked out because they were too lazy to do the work. So most people are going to be lazy. Use that to your advantage. Work harder than them, and you'll be able to pick out the good items. And that brings me to my next point, which is, this is step number 13, or point number 13. Be prepared to get dirty. Don't be scared to get dirty. When I walked out of that last house, my hands were dirty. They felt gross. I could have worn gloves, and I do have gloves. I didn't really feel like I quite needed it then, but other places I have needed that. So don't be scared to do that. You wash your hands afterwards and you're fine. But sometimes it's going to be dirty. It's going to be a little bit messy, but there's going to be maybe some moisture or some mildew that you have to pick through to get to items. You might see some bugs here and there. Don't be scared of that stuff. Just go through that stuff. Obviously be safe. Wash your hands afterwards. Stay clean. But don't put your hands in your mouth afterwards and start biting your nails after you just went through a disgusting box. But be prepared to get dirty. Don't bring the best clothes. Bring clothes that you're okay to get dirty and filthy. That's what it's for. You don't want to go there looking like a slob, but at the same time, don't go wearing all fancy outfits and everything. Just go with casual clothes that you're okay with getting some stains on, and be willing to do the dirty work. It will pay off. Number 14, be willing to negotiate. You got to negotiate. If you want to get good deals, you have to negotiate. Remember, with the exception of places that are really just trying to liquidate, you're buying from a seller, and that seller wants to make money, and they're oftentimes going to name a price that's high, and you want to come in a little bit lower than that. So it's okay to go up and try and negotiate. Worst thing that they can do is say no, but don't be scared. You have to learn that skill. If you can't learn that skill, your profit levels are going to go down. Your ability to resell is going to go down. So you have to source your items for as low as possible. And the only way you're going to do that is by doing good negotiation. Now, I have videos on negotiation, so check them out. They're negotiation tip videos, and they're on this channel, so go take a look at those for some pointers on negotiation. That's very important. Number 15, record your miles, either through an app like Mile IQ, or what I do is I just hit the odometer, I jot down all the places where I went to for sales, and then when I get back, I have an Excel file, and I just take a picture of my odometer, and I write down the number of miles that I went and all the different places that I went to, all the different addresses, and that's it. And at the end of the year, you can deduct your miles. Now, you could also deduct your gas if you want to, but you can't deduct both. It's either got to be one or the other, the gas or the miles. But you know, the miles tend out working out best for me, so that's what I record. So keep track of those miles. They are tax deductible. It's like 5 cents, 5.5 cents a mile. It changes every year, but that's another tip for you to save some money on taxes, so you cut down on how much money you have to pay at the end of the year with taxes. Now, related to that, make sure you save your receipts from the estate sales. Estate sales will almost always give you a receipt. If you're at a garage sale, they're almost never going to give you a receipt. So make sure you take a little pad with paper and write a little receipt for yourself and ask the person to sign it. You want to get a signature. It doesn't have to be a legible signature. It just has to be something that shows some kind of signature. It could even be initials. The point is to prove at the end of the year when you're deducting your expenses, because all of these expenses are inventory that you're purchasing, you can deduct those off of your taxes. But if you're audited, you need a way to prove that you actually purchased these things. And just saying that you went out and bought these things really isn't sufficient. A better way to prove it is to have a receipt with a signature. So make sure you get that. It doesn't take long. Just take that little pad with you. I just toss it in my box. I carry it around with me, have a pen, and make sure that you have people sign that and just save them up, and have a little envelope that you put them in when you get home. So that was number 16. So number 17 will be related to a kind of a strategy that I would suggest using when you go to sales. Now, some people might differ with me on this, and I can understand it. I guess it's just part of it's just my personality. But I would advise you, because what's been successful for me is when you go to a sale, is not to run around to every different room really fast trying to find the best thing. Just go into a room. You typically, if it's an estate sale, go to the basement, go to the attic, unless you know that there's a special room that has something that you know of from scouting out in advance. Just go in a room where there's stuff that looks like it's a fit for you, and take your time and process it, okay? That patience is going to be so crucial and so key to you finding the best items. If you're rushing through a room because you want to go on to the next one, or if you're rushing through a house because you wanted to get to the next sale, the way I think about that, it doesn't make sense. Because why do I want to rush to the next sale that I have no guarantee is going to be good, if I'm already in a situation where I'm at a room with valuable items or potentially valuable items, things that I know that have a good fit for my business, that if I just take the time to sit down and process, that I could do well with. So take your time, process the items. Once you're done with that room, go on to the next room, and then once you're done with that house, then go on to the next sale. Don't feel so much pressure. A lot of people, I've even actually heard people complain about this at sales, is that they almost become paralyzed by the fact that they get overwhelmed, that there's so many things, so many places that they have to go to. Your point of going there is to get items. And as long as you're in a room or you're in an area where there's items that you could source, just stay there until you've exhausted it, and then move on to the next thing. So that's number 17, which is not rushing. Number 18, okay? Now this one is, in many ways, probably the most important one. Use your eBay app at the sales to source the items and check the comps. It will save you so much time and so much money in terms of wasted items. If you don't know what I'm talking about, if you get the eBay app, there's different options that you could do after you complete a search, where you could search for completed items and sold items, and then you could sort them based on highest and lowest price. Search those so you could see, has this item ever sold? If so, what is it sold for? That gives you a sense of whether or not you want to spend a certain amount of money on it, or how much money you need to spend to be able to make it profitable. It gives you a chance, gives you some information on what the likelihood is you'll sell. Look at the sell-through rate. Is this something that's only sold once, or is it something that reliably sells? And then make sure you check who's currently selling it. What's my competition? Don't just look at the solds. Also look at, is it currently up for sale now, and what is the person selling it for? Because you're gonna have to beat that price if it's in similar condition to make the sale, because that's how most people search on eBay. I believe, I don't have stats on this, but it's just what makes the most logical sense, is they're gonna search for what is the lowest priced item plus shipping, and then they're gonna just look in terms of what's the reputation of the seller and what's the condition of the item. So look at that, because all this information gives you data points to use in terms of deciding whether you want to pull the trigger on that purchase, and if so, how much you need to get it for. And that helps you with the other step that I talked about, which is negotiation, so you know how much you need to get it for. Number 19, I did a whole separate video on this, so I'm not going to go over it in great detail. Check out the video if you want to see it. It is and I'll actually link to it down below in the description section, but it is the video on the tools of the trade that you need to bring to estate sales to help you out. Things like screwdrivers, flashlights, batteries, rubber bands. There's all sorts of other things I talk about in that video, but be prepared, because that will help you get the items that are hard to get areas that are screwed onto the walls. It'll help you carry around things like posters better if you have a rubber band. So check out that video, it gives you a lot more detail. Last thing, which is so important, especially if you're just getting started and you're going to do your taxes at the end of the year. And it's a good time to get this information down now, right when you're going to go into a new tax preparation season and you're just going to start out with going to these sales. Make sure when you get back, you document everything that day. So when you get home, before you do anything else, document your gas mileage in your gas mileage file, unless you're using MileIQ. Document your inventory. Take your receipts and file them away in different areas. So for example, I have an envelope that says inventory. I list all my inventory receipts in there. Make sure that you document that in your Excel file as well, or whatever file you use. If it's Quicken or whatever, document your inventory that day. Don't save it for doing it tomorrow, doing the next day. Get it done, get it out of the way, have it all documented so you're ready to go when you need it at the end of the year, and you don't get overwhelmed and then have to go back and try to reconstruct things. That is extremely stressful, and it's not something you want to do. It's best to be proactive. So that is the top 20 things that I think you need to know to absolutely crush it at estate sales and garage sales. If you like this video, please hit the like button, share the video with others on social media or in your own Facebook groups, because I'd love to get this information out to more people to help them be successful and get more people over to this channel. I told you the subscriber numbers are going up. I love to see that. If you have not subscribed yet, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button and come back, check out other videos. Also, real important, come by and check out the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. That is a great little group that I've created. I call it little, but it's growing every day. New members are coming in every day, every week, and it's a great place to go to exchange information about reselling and support each other and promote your brand. And I learn things from all of you as well. In fact, I want to give a special shout out right now to one of the members, a great member of the group, Laura Cohn, for helping me finally figure out how to get the cha-ching noise on my eBay app, so that now every time I make a sale, I hear a money sound, which is great, rather than hearing that bloop song that I was always hearing every time that I made a sale. And now I really could get that reinforcement of feeling like I'm making money by hearing that sound. So thank you very much, Laura. I really appreciate it. And that's just a good example of great ways that we could share information on that group. So make sure you stop by. The link is down below. click on it, submit a join request. If I see that everything looks okay for your profile, you're in the group, or just search for Facebook Reselling Resource Center on Facebook and hit join and I'll let you in. With that, I'm gonna go pack up WC Fields, and then I've got some more listings to do, so I will see everyone else again soon. And if you have any other tips, by the way, I'm sure there's some things I didn't mention that maybe you feel is important, drop it down below in the comment section. Later, everyone.